Lisa, catching up because you've hit a very notable milestone as a high ticket closer. So in January, it was January, wasn't it?
Yep.
January just gone?
hmm
In January just gone, we finally hit our first 10K month. How did that
Yes.
feel to finally hit a 10K month?
It was awesome. It was awesome. We calculated some numbers, and I think I brought in 105,000 into the company in the month of January.
Wow. So big. Well, I think I remember we catched up a few weeks ago, and I think you even said like, very, very nonchalant. Well, I kind of hit this 10K, and I just want to just make sure that we hit more than that every single month. And I'm like, do you ever like just stop and just think, Jesus Christ, where have I come from in the last year and a half? I probably don't appreciate as much as I did before getting to this point, and now you're looking, even further. Like, what's next? But it has been an amazing journey. Like I said earlier, you're the story I always like to repeat because any doubters whether they can make it in a space like this, you came from probably on paper one of the worst backgrounds to get into, a very high level sales position. So, before you started, just talk me through what life looked like before you started closing and close pro.
So I was a stay-at-home mom for over 20 years. I have two kids, and my husband and I chose that so that I could be at home and take care of them and raise them, help raise them. But then he passed away in July of 23. And I was like, what am I going to do now, with my life? So I took a year hiatus, and then I had to figure out something. Um, the biggest thing was I didn't want to do what everybody else did because I didn't want to be trapped in a 9 to 5 or in an office or something like that because I've had freedom. Yes, I'm a stay-at-home mom and I'm super busy, but I've had freedom. So
Right.
now to trap me with being already in a sad situation would like stifle me and make me feel stuck. So I needed freedom. And so I thought, so many people are making money in different ways. And I wanted to start thinking outside the box and see what was available to me.
What were the other things that you looked at? Because I remember you said that you even went for an interview with a nail tech assistant at your local town.
So I had my nail license from way before I had kids, and I was considering doing that. The other thing was an Amazon. There was an Amazon publishing company that I looked into to where you use AI and do self-help books,
Yeah.
and publish them and sell them like that. But it just didn't feel solid to me. I wanted something a little more. I wanted something that would create stability and
Mhm.
consistency.
And what was it about closing you really thought, yeah, that's a bit of me. I think that's the thing I want to get into.
Okay. So, for me, I had a couple of people in my life say, "No, you really should do closing." There was only two though. One was my neighbor across the street, and one was a really good friend of mine. And so she encouraged me to do that as well because she knew what it was like. She knew more about the space. She had done some online coaching programs. So she kind of pushed that. But you literally popped up on my Instagram after I was looking at other ways of
Yeah.
making money online. It literally just popped up into my feed.
Yeah.
So I started researching you. I did a background check. I paid money to do a background check on you, and
Oh wow, I'm glad I came out of that.
it was all
All
perfectly
right.
clean and beautiful. So,
Yeah.
I met with Aaron Sparks at the time,
Yeah.
and, we actually had 3 calls.
Yeah.
So,
That's right.
I was a hard close.
But I think if you're not used to the world of online, it can be a really difficult thing because
Yeah.
everyone claims big figures, it claims it to be very easy, and there's a part of you that really draws yourself to that. But then the easier it seems, the less real it seems sometimes.
Right. Right.
And I think that's why we try and be a lot more open and honest about, like, this is all possible, but you have to work hard. I always use the footballer analogy, even though I hate football. It's you know, if I tell you take a few sales calls a day, earn 10 grand a month, you're gonna think, wow, that's bullshit. But in the same way, if I say kick a football around for a few hours a week and get paid millions, well, professional footballers exist, so it's not bullshit. But those people have dedicated themselves to becoming very skilled, which takes time, effort, dedication, commitment. So it's the same thing here. These things are possible, the freedom's possible, but you need to be able to work hard at it. And I think that your journey was a little bit longer as we were just going through.
Yep.
So I think we said we joined in August, or we started properly in August, and we
Mhm.
weren't really in a role till February.
Yep. Yeah.
So I think,
24. Yeah. I signed up at the end of July, really got started in August 24. And then by January of 25, I was finished. So it did take me longer. Some other students came through quite quickly, a month, but they were younger. They were already like doing so much to where it took me a little bit longer, but I knew that and I didn't want to rush the process. But I will say the thing that I appreciated most about you is everything you said was true. If I followed the steps, every single thing you said was exactly how it would go. And I mean, from what I would earn initially as a newbie, then the next phase, and then the next phase. I mean, you were spot on. So I appreciated that, but I also followed your direction.
yeah, because people love to, if I've helped someone to do 10K in 6 weeks. So what I could do is broadcast that this is the expectation. This is what you're going to do. But it's complete, a complete fabrication. The average is really what you need to look at. The most likely scenario that you do need to really commit yourself to the path. But when you're first getting into the space, if you come from zero sales experience, you're not going to be making 10K straight away. You got to be 3, 4K until you're comfortable. Then you start getting, the sixes, then the sevens, and then you start building up to get into 10K. So you were in an offer in end of Jan, or was it end of Feb?
End of January, I just worked with an Airbnb company for like literally 2 weeks. The day I
Okay,
started,
that's it.
the day
Yeah,
I started with them, this new offer came through and was put in my lap, and it was just
yeah,
a perfect fit. So I couldn't deny it. I had to move on.
yeah. But what was the commission like for you over those 11 months? If we were at end of Feb is when we started, end of Jan is where we hit our first 10K. What was that actually like in terms of how much you were earning at each stage?
Oh, well, my very, very first month was low. I mean, it was, I think it was like 1,100 or $1,500 USD for the month. I mean, hey, here I am working now again. So, but then it started to fall into that, the first, I believe you said the first 3 to 6 months, you'll be in that 3 to 5K
Hmm.
range. And then after that, you should go to 6 to 8. And it all depends too on the time of year it is, right? So
Yeah,
August can be slow, dependent on what your offer is. January can be amazing because of what your offer is. It just depends, it can be like this, definitely. But I followed suit, you know.
yeah. And then I think we hit six in about 5, 6 months.
Yeah, I hit six in May or no, yeah, May or June of 25.
And then we finally got ourselves up to that 10K in January. So, yeah, what did it really feel like? Did you take a minute to go, oh my God, I've just hit this, or did you just kind of go, I think it's probably the second one.
I I couldn't believe that it was such an amazing month. And the gentleman, my client, He was ecstatic. He's like, I can't believe how far you've grown, but I also appreciated him giving me the opportunity,
Yeah.
being such a new person, but I am a perfect fit for the offer. Um, so for me, I think because, there's still accounts out that are receivable, right?
Mhm.
So yes, I hit that, but the paycheck didn't reflect that particular month, but it does, and it does.
Yeah.
There's still some, accounts receivable that are out there is all.
But did you ever think when you were, so, we were looking at different things a year and a half later, we would be in a position of doing a 10K month?
Yeah.
What did you think? What did you feel like was actually going to happen?
You know
Is
what?
there a point
To
where
be
you were
honest,
happy, like, right, if I can find 3K a month, I'm going to be happy?
no, I didn't want that. I just didn't expect more than meets the eye. I know where I'm at. I know my limitations. I'm also on a path where I'm still grieving. So I have to keep my expectations very realistic. And so that's what I've done throughout the whole journey is be realistic of what I can do, what I'm capable of. But the biggest thing is that I put one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to stop. I don't stop learning. I don't stop training. I'm constantly improving my framework, constantly improving my skills each and every day to try to be better. You've got to put the
Yeah.
work in.
I think that's such an important part of high ticket closing that most people miss is that they think that the end is getting a role. So they join a program like mine, they work hard for 3 months, they get in a role, and then they just get lazy. They sit back and they just take calls and they hope that they get better. They hope that the leads improve. They hope that the quality improves, the volume improves. And then
Mhm.
when it doesn't, they're like, I don't know what to do.
Right.
But if you just attack it with the same energy you had when you started, with that want and need to get better, to improve, actually striving for that next level, then all of those people that I've seen and worked with personally who do that, those are the people that hit the tens, the 20s. Our record in the academy is 30K a month, but it's because they didn't slow down.
Right.
So it is, again, it's a sad thing. You've even seen in the program, people can kind of come, they can go, they can disappear.
Yeah.
But it is about that constant push to do better, right?
Right. And I think people always think, oh, just sit on the beach and take a few calls. No, there's a lot more to it than that, right? You need to be ready. You need to not let anything impact your world when you are getting on with a prospect who needs your help.
Yeah. And have you ever, yeah, have you ever faced a slump yet where you
Yeah,
feel like you're doing everything the same, but for some reason,
it's
just
not work.
not, yeah. So
Absolutely. Yeah. December felt like that to me. I was a little bit burnout in December for sure. I was grateful for the holiday break to just kind of shut my mind off and reboot. And so that's what I did. But look what January brought.
yeah. And it's so hard when you're a closer and you've probably had a couple of days of no closes, let alone a couple of weeks. And then you really start to feel that pressure. So it is an internal game more than anything. Really mastering yourself, your emotions. And because you sell a health offer,
I
and I
do.
guess some of those conversations can be quite emotional.
Yeah. Yeah. I get a lot of women that are crying because they're so stuck, because they're in perimenopause or postmenopause, and they're dealing with a lot of symptoms that are keeping them stuck and from feeling well. So it's very emotional. You have to invest
Yeah.
into them and really be there to help them and see why they need the program that you're offering that can really help them.
Have
Uh,
you got any good success stories where you've really helped some people?
yeah, yeah. This girl, one that just comes to the top of my mind, her name's Melissa. She came into our program last May. She only signed up for 4 months, and she said, "I just want to lose 10 pounds." Well, 4 months came and she was down 16. And
Wow.
she's like, I'm staying in this. So I re-signed her for another 6 months, and she's down 40 pounds Complete transformation.
Jesus.
She had major gut issues. That was the
Yeah.
biggest thing that needed to be addressed with her. Got her gut cleaned up. She's still in the program. I just re-signed her again for another 4 months. And after that, she's going to be finished with the program, but she is a major success story. Another one that comes to my mind is we just had a 2 week slump where we didn't bring anybody in 2 weeks, which is very, very rare for us. And it could have been the Easter break. But just Saturday, I brought a woman in on a 12K to pay. So that was pretty cool.
The slump has been broken.
The slump has been broken.
But I mean, it is a poisonous industry sometimes, sales. It has such a bad connotation and especially high ticket closing nowadays. The waters are getting a bit murky. You are getting a lot of people who are using and abusing this space or similar, but it feels good when you do sell something that helps people.
Yeah. I wouldn't be in this space if I didn't believe in it, you know? You have to believe in your offer. Otherwise, then you do come across salesy as opposed to, look, I can help you. I'm not selling you a refrigerator. I'm changing your life. Right.
Yeah.
So it's two totally different things.
And that means you've got to challenge people. You've got
Hmm.
to say the things they don't want to hear. You've got to sometimes really not attack as such, but really prod at their belief system
Yeah.
because something doesn't align. And have you ever had any awkward people that have really responded badly to that?
Oh, yeah. Well, for me personally, it's very hard for me to um, do that confrontation. I don't love
Yeah.
it. So I've had to really train myself and tell myself, you're not trying to be salesy.
Yeah.
You're trying to help them change their life. So I've had to do a lot of work on myself so that I can convey that. I'm still a work in progress for that. But yeah, people don't like it. I've had people say, like, when I've tried to be more direct, they're like, you're being too salesy. And then I'm like, well, how do it's a balance. It's a balancing
Yeah.
act, you know?
Yeah. But if you are trying to genuinely help people, most of the time that means creating pressure. It means telling them things they don't want to hear. It means almost pushing them into a sale because that sale isn't a sale, it's the starting point of them changing.
And the other thing I've learned is just because someone doesn't come into the program doesn't mean it wasn't a win. For example,
Yeah.
yeah, 2 days ago, I had a client and she was like, oh, I don't really want to turn my camera on. I'm not going to turn my camera on. And I said, I'd prefer you did. I don't want to talk to myself. It's much easier to talk to you. Would you be able to do that? Well, by the end of the call, we didn't even go through pricing because it wasn't going to work for her right now. True financial objection, a true financial
Yeah.
objection. But at the end, she thanked me. She said, thank you for making me turn my camera on.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And I've kept that door open so that when the financial time is right, she'll come back, you know, stay in
And
touch.
we've had so many people who have had to come back because it wasn't the right financial time. But
Right.
they understood and felt the need of obviously doing something now, but they did something they've never done before. They actually saved money, they actually put a plan into place, they actually joined, and then those are the people who end up seeing it through. So
Right.
it is, yeah, it is a nice feeling when you know you've helped that, but it might not be a sale now, but you know
Right.
you've at least pushed them in the right direction.
Absolutely. Yeah. And when you know
Yeah.
you've done the right thing on the call, you're ticking
Yeah.
all the boxes, even if it doesn't go through, you handled the call correctly.
Exactly. And then you said that you've had to do a lot of internal work.
Oh,
So if you can reflect, where do you think you've come from before we started this to now on an internal perspective? Do you think you've changed much internally?
the biggest thing is this. So when I came into this space, I was not in a good position, right? I just lost my husband, not in a good position at all, mentally, emotionally, all of that. But the old Lisa is very confident, knows who she is, knows what she's doing, and knows what she wants. So just now, it's been a year that I've been in my offer. I'm with the same. people from where when I started, and he said to me, "You're like a new person." And I said, "Actually, I'm not.
Like the old person.
I'm the old person that's coming through. You just met me at the wrong time in my life." So, it's been hard to juggle that grief side alongside of learning all of these things and trying to get back to who I once was, but also adding a whole new element into that, right? Because I am different, definitely. Um, but I've done a lot of internal work on it. I, like I said, I just try to improve my skills all the time, regardless of what happens.
And I found coming on the other side of really developing a high level of skill in closing that I did see that bleed out into other areas. I did feel more confident. I did handle day-to-day life a lot better. And it definitely did help in a lot of ways, not just obviously earning more money, but yeah,
Right,
internally, I think I'm naturally an introvert,
right,
but no one who knows me now would ever guess that I'm naturally an
right.
introvert. So
Yeah,
I do think it does a lot for you. But there are a lot of people who think that this space is just for 21-year-olds. I know you felt a little bit like that when you got started, but see,
I did. Amazing.
yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of people who are a little bit older think this space is just for 21-year-olds. So you were 48 when you started, and now we've hit a really big milestone. You've hit 10K. What
Mhm.
would you say to anyone who thinks they've left it too late or they're too old to get into high ticket closing?
No, it's never too late. You put the work in, you put the effort, you follow the direction, you can be successful. But you have to do it. It's not a miracle way to make money that's just going to flood into your bank account. You have to put the work into it. You have to do something about it, but it's never too late. But you have to want to do it, right?
And do you think being older actually helped you? Like your experience, your patience, any of that actually helped you with closing?
Absolutely. I mean, I have life experience and it happens to be the space that I'm in. I have a lot of knowledge in that space by chance, right? So, having the knowledge, but I mean, definitely having the wisdom being older, I definitely have that. Did I have so much the techie side? No, not so much. There was a lot of learning, and I still am learning. But I've come a long way, there's a lot that I can do now, but, I definitely think that age doesn't matter. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. It's a matter of putting in the work and doing what you're told, and if you want it, you'll do it. I mean, where there's a will, there's a way.
And what about the lack of sales experience side? Because we hadn't been working for over 20 years, so it's not like we've just been doing customer service jobs and never sales. So what about someone who thinks that maybe it's not for them because they haven't got any sales experience?
So I felt the same way. But what helped me is I had a lot of people say to me, sometimes it's better when you don't, because it's you can take somebody fresh and teach them everything that they need to know as opposed to breaking old habits, right? So that was really encouraging to me and it worked.
Yeah, because everyone thinks that experience is the important thing, and it's not. It's skill.
It is.
And experience isn't always the best thing to get the skill.
Mhm.
Because if your experience is in something that's actually quite different, when I was in corporate sales, I think I probably spent 10 to 15% of my time actually closing. The rest was busy work, office politics, meetings, chasing people, following up, prospecting, lead gen, outreach. And then by the time I've gone through all of them, sitting in a meeting and handling rejection, closing deals was such a small part of what I was doing.
Right.
So really, I didn't even have that much experience in closing before I started.
Yeah.
But a lot
It's
of people, yeah, they struggle when they come from corporate sales into stuff like this. You're right. Not having those bad habits, learning how to do things right from the start, I think
mhm.
actually helps a lot of people.
It does. I mean, as soon as I joined your academy, you connected me with a gentleman who's here in the States, who was older, who was in sales. And he's the one that said to me straight off the bat, he's like, "Listen, you're more than likely better off than I am." He's like, "Because you're fresh, and they can teach you exactly what it is that you need." So that should not hinder anybody from
Yeah.
going to this program at all.
And there is a lot of people who are like you though, who are sitting on the fence, who are really deliberating, do I go into closing or not? So if there is anyone who's kind of wondering whether to start high ticket closing, what would you say to them?
So I would say it's going to be a roller coaster. It is. It's not going to be perfect. However, it depends on what's most important to you. And what was most important to me was to be able to provide for my family the way Craig did. And the other thing was to have freedom, right?
Yeah.
And so you really truly do have that freedom. I travel all the time and I work from wherever I want. And I love having the ability to do that, um, to be able to provide for our family, but to not be stuck here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania all the time.
I think last time we caught up, yeah, you done the call from a nice beach,
I
right?
did.
Florida, was it?
Yeah, I was in the
Yeah.
Keys. Yeah.
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 But no, it is, it's so hard when you have to be locked in an office for 9 hours a day, most of the time, 5 days a week, to really have any freedom. So yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I've always said, the story of of what you've been able to do here is always backed off my most important lesson. The only way you're going to make it is if you've got the right reason. There has to be a why. There has to be an important why at the core of why you're doing this. And
You made me do that from the start.
yeah,
You always have everybody write down their why and then look back on it. And it really was impactful, I have to say, because it helped me continue putting one foot in front of the other. I have to say your program is awesome. You could charge a lot more.
all right. Maybe that's the key takeaway from this then. Charge more money. Yeah. But no, look, like I say, it's the most inspirational story that I've ever had. To see how far you've come already, considering how short your journey in kind of this space has been really impactful. So now we're on to the next step. Now we're on to that next stage. So I'm looking forward to what this brings. But again, thank you so much for coming on here, sharing where you've been, sharing your journey. I think it's so important to see not only the she was here, now she's here, what that actually looks like as you go through each stage. So again,
Absolutely. And you know what? I'm excited to start with you again.
yeah, now we're starting again. We're going on to that next phase.
Again.
But like
Yeah,
I said,
the next,
our next roundup call, we'll be having a
absolutely.
yeah, we'll be having
It's
a good
important. It's important to level up, and that's what I want to
100%.
do. So I'm taking that next step with you.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, look, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story, and we're looking forward to seeing where you head next.